Hi, this is Ken Jarecke, and today I'm honored to talk with Father Don Dahl. He is he's a world-renowned photographer. He's also a Catholic priest, a senior Jesuit, and we're just he's been a mentor of mine. He's living in Omaha. I grew up in Omaha, and we've been friends for 40 years, probably. Hi, Father.
How are you doing, Ken? I'm honored that you'd even have me on your program. That's cool. Can I link to your other programs that you've? Where do you keep these things? That I
They
link to a video or what?
Yeah, they all live on YouTube. You are episode 41.
Oh
We
my,
we talked to everybody, and I should have talked to you a long time ago, but you were out of the country.
that's true. Well, you were too.
Yeah. So
Why?
we're
I'm
both
lucky they canceled all flights from India where I was about what 2 days ago. I just made it within about 3 days of not being able to be here.
what
So
what what were you up to in India? Fill me in.
well, yeah, that's a good story. In 2002, I went to India because the head of the Jesuits said to our province, said, hey, you guys work with an indigenous tribes in South Dakota and both on Rosebud and on Pine Ridge. We ran two schools out there. In fact, that's where I got started in photography. And he said, there's a whole group of Jesuits working with indigenous tribes over in Northeast India in an area called Kohima, Assam and Nagaland and Meghalaya. And so that's where I was. And so I went over in 2002. It was a great experience. And 5 of those guys came to our university to get their doctorates in education. Now, 2 of them are presidents of 2 colleges. And I was so impressed when I was with these Jesuits in 2002. They gave up their urban university back to the diocese and said, hey, we want to work with the poorest of the poor in this country. And they have so many indigenous tribes. It's just amazing. So guys my age, they would send to a community and say, you live with the people, learn their language. Oh my God, did that work well? They knew the local languages. Of course, the guys from India are so blessed. They not only grow up knowing their own language from the local area, like Bengali or whatever else, but they all learn Hindi and they all learn English at the same time. So they normally come with 3 languages. They're not afraid of languages. My God, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I never heard any. Well, I heard some German, but they wouldn't teach us German. It was World War II. I asked my mother, what are we when all the Irish are celebrating? She says, you are an American. Okay, Mom. I get it. So my grandparents came from Germany in 1909, had 14 children. My mother was the youngest. Anyway, so I never learned German, I would have loved to. But so here we are. And so I went over there. I've been over there 4 times because some of these guys became my very best friends here at the university over a 5-year period. So I went back and I've been helping them out with photographs. I was there last March also. So they said, hey, you got to come back next March, in March of 2020. And Father Arturo Sosa, the general of the Jesuits, who I was in Rome for 5 weeks and did his official portrait, and the last 3 heads of the society. And so I said, yeah, I'd love to come. So I went, and I'm just about to put on Dropbox. I have all the pictures. They had a huge celebration in Nagaland. And it's an area that was very famous during World War II. A lot of Brits died there because the Brits held off the Japanese from coming south. At first, the people liked the Japanese, but then they began eating their crops and eating their livestock, and they went against the Japanese eventually. So there's a huge memorial there right in Kohima, in the town of Kohima, celebrating all the Brits who died holding off the Japanese. And so anyway, enough of that story. So actually, they've had an incredible success with the indigenous tribes there. It's mostly Christian. The Baptists were there very, very early. Oh, I forget the year. I read a history of it. Uh, and so the Jesuits have been there for 50 years now, and this was the 50th celebration of their mission, and they've just exploded. The Catholics are just a small percent of the Baptist population. It's mostly Christian. They want to be Christian because if they would join the normal Indian society, they would be the lowest rung. They'd be like Dalits. They wouldn't even be considered human beings, which within Christianity, they're considered equal. And they've loved the Jesuits. We were welcome back. So they had a mass there, and I have photographs of this huge mass. They had a huge tent. It must have been over 100 yards long and just as wide as a football field. And of course, it started raining. We were all underneath that. And then all the people from the towns jumped in and cooked. They fed all 2,700 people who were at this mass. It was quite incredible.
That's fascinating. I love that history. I love this idea that, we have this tradition in the church that St. Thomas, the apostle, he evangelized India from the very start.
Exactly. No, it is really a big deal. I forgot the exact figures. The Catholics are a small percentage of the minority, even in this part of the country. It's mostly Baptists. And of course, the Baptists don't like the Jesuits, very much at all. But there are Presbyterians, and there's in Meghalaya and the parts west, and they have really good relationships with the Presbyterian. But you know what the mistake the Baptists made, if I could say that, they stopped educating people after grade school. They stopped at grade school. Well, so the Jesuits stepped in and started running high schools and giving them more education. And then the people end up in leadership positions in the cities and the towns liking Jesuits. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, I was there in Nagaland. And then I went west to Guwahati. We flew into Guwahati, which is in Assam. Assam has had a number of cases. So my last trip was in Meghalaya to a dear friend, Father Sunny Augustine, who's the president of this marvelous school set up to teach the Garo tribe. The Garo tribe is an indigenous tribe, and they're learning the language. And I was there for 3 days photographing and doing video. So I didn't process. That's what I need to process now.
Well, you've got a little free time. For people.
Right, yeah. You can say that again. So anyway, I was supposed to go up to another town, a college in Meghalaya called, as colleges are over there, Francis Xavier, in just south of Shillong. God, it's so hard to travel there. To go to where I was in, it was called William Nagar University. It took 6 hours to travel about 60 miles.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been there, eh? Yeah.
I haven't been to India. That's one of the places I've never been there, but I know how it works. So.
Oh. Anyway, so I was really thrilled with I have to tell you how I got back here. So I came back in from that 6-hour trip. I'm back at the headquarters where the provincial stays, and all these guys I know so well. And I had been told by the rector here, stay there. And I said, well, why can't I come home? Well, they're worried about me traveling, then coming here. And there's another Jesuit there who wrote his doctorate over there on one of the tribes from Milwaukee, or my hometown. And he was given permission to come home. And well, his health is not, my health is really good. Yeah, my God. I was running up until last year, but, and then I realized my friend, a local priest friend, Father David Korth, wonderful young guy. He's been a priest 25 years. I've been a priest 50. He calls me on WhatsApp. And I was just elated because I had such a good shoot. And he was talking. I said, oh, this woman is here. She just gave lots of money to my friend Paul Quilla. I was supposed to go up to northern Meghalaya to his college where I had been last year. And he said, funny, he starts yelling at me. He says, Don, you can't be visiting with people who you don't know where she came from. Well, I do know where she came from, and she was a big friend of the Jesuits in Pune. It's a place up northwest of Delhi, I think. Anyway, uh, and then later that night, I said, the superior of the Jesuits, a good friend of mine, says, Don, I think I'm going to send you back to Nagaland. I wasn't looking forward to the 8-hour drive back to Nagaland. Then I said, once I get there, I know a few of the guys, not as well as these guys. And I was showing Dave on my phone on WhatsApp this beautiful house where I was staying at, a nice room, internet access, which is marginal, And that night I said, oh my God, they have so many visitors here. I can't stay here.
Right.
And then I said, oh my God, the only place they can send me is the novitiate outside of Shillong. Oh, no internet. Oh, I'd go nuts. So, and then I said, oh my God. Then I woke up at 4 a.m. I said, oh my God, if I get the virus here, I'll be dead in 5 weeks, because the healthcare isn't as good. They would get the best they had there, but it's nothing like here. Right. So I went back to both the guys in the morning, both who I know really well. And in 20 minutes, I went to breakfast. They could see something was wrong with me. And I talked to them, and they were so good. In 20 minutes, they said, Don, you're going home. They contacted my boss here and said he's coming. He said, okay, send him. And so that afternoon, I flew out. I flew on a Spice jet back to Delhi, 3-hour flight. You go right by Mount Everest. And then we get to the Delhi airport, and I said, let me get the extra seat. This is a direct flight to Delhi, Chicago, on Air. And everyone is saying, don't take Air India. Don't take Air India. Well, this is the flight, Okay, you get on Air India. And I had paid, $125 to get extra leg room. And I did it for this, this Jesuit. Bought a seat across the aisle from me. Guess what? At check-in, they cancel his seat across from, and then they put him next to me, which is fine. And then guess what? My TV didn't work at all. The light didn't work at all. And so for the 16 hours flight, I have no videos to see, no book to read because there's no light. And oh my God. And the flight was filled with people trying to get out of India. Each of them had 5 bags or so. So get to Chicago after 16 hours. I don't know. I'm so glad to be here. Anyway, and I got into Chicago. I have the Go Pass. I'm through in just 1 minute or 2 minutes. And my buddy was sent to CDC for the health thing. I was not. I go down. They had 2 carousels going to get bags. Took an hour to find my bag. 1 hour. And then I go out through, she says, oh, didn't you go through CDC? I says, oh, no, I didn't. They didn't send me through it. I said, oh, go on through it. You were a Go Pass. Go on. I can't believe it. So I sent my bag, and I met this wonderful person at United. I said, I didn't have my printouts of my tickets. She said, oh, welcome. She was so nice. She says, would you like your flight to be moved from noon till 10 o'clock? And I go to get on this absolutely brand new United airplane with 8 people on it to fly. I'm so glad they still flew to Omaha,
Right.
And then they meet me there. Did you read this? I put it on my Facebook. They met me I have a car assigned to me. It's not my car. It's a community car, right? Assigned to me. They come in my car. Oh, that's nice. They make me sit in the back seat. They hand me a mask and didn't let me touch it. Poured the stuff in my hands to purify the hands. And I had to handle my own bags. It took me to my room where I've been for the last 6 days. So I've been parked here. And the guys are wonderful in the house. I have a table outside my room, and he just brought me some food, bought me some more cans, and I just asked for another 12-pack. I have a beer at lunch. It makes me sleepy. I take a nap, have another beer for supper, and that's about it. Anyway, so it's been good. I've been working on pictures, and I just learned how to use Zoom just yesterday. So that's new to me. I never heard of it before this.
No, it's awesome.
It's really great. I got lots of energy, and in the morning I get up and I do 60 sit-ups and then 40 push-ups. Then I do it again. If I take a nap, I do the same thing again. And I got other exercises. Yeah. So it's good. I mean, I got another week to go. That's all.
Yeah. So Father, people that aren't familiar with your work, you've you've been a photographer for basically your whole life, and you taught
Yes,
photography at the Creighton University, and that's where we first met.
that's right.
And now you're kind of just roaming around. You've a lot of your most famous work was from Pine Ridge in South Dakota, and so you've worked with Indians in America, and you worked with Indians in India now, and
Yeah.
uh, you keep working, you keep your craft going. Tell me tell me what your goals are now with your work.
Well, the university wants my archive. A couple places want my archive. Marquette University wanted my archives. St. Louis, outside of St. they want my archive. And so, but we don't have an archive for photos here at the university. So that we were going to have a fundraiser May 8th for archive, keep Don archive here. So I have to get on top of my color slides. I've archived all the black and white. I've always made a proof sheet. So we scanned in, I don't know how many thousand, over 5,000 proof sheets. And I go through and I labeled every frame from 1964 all the way through 1990, no, 2001. That's when I switched. When the Nikon D1X came out, I switched to digital when it finally was good enough.
Right, right.
So I've identified all that, but I haven't done anything with my color slides. So they have put all my color slides in 20-page sheets, 40 pages per thing. I think I have 60 of those things to go through and identify all the color slides. Oh, I'm not like, it's painful. Who wants to go back? I'd rather be out photographing. So, but I have to do the color slides, but because there's some nice gems in there. Not that many. I don't think I'm that good a photographer, frankly, but I get it once in a while. I get lucky, get a good one. So,
well, you only have to get lucky every so often. You get
that's
lucky
right.
once or twice a month. You're a great photographer, right?
Is that the truth? Yeah. I'd be happy if I had one frame that came out in a roll of 36 film, right?
Right.
Oh, a good roll of film. Wow, what
Absolutely.
a good picture. Yeah. So anyway,
So
so I
I think
was known for black and white, for years. Having the first two articles in National Geographic in black and white, the first one on the Yupik Eskimos in Alaska. And they did give me an award for the black and white series I did on Rosebud and it was a book called Crying for Vision.
right.
Uh, yeah. And then, I was asked to go down to the University of Missouri and give a talk. And I met Bill Garrett there, the editor of the Geographic. He said, "What are you doing next?" I said, "Well, I'm going to Alaska. I got a small grant from the university. I've always wanted to go to Alaska." So I went up and lived with the Yupik Eskimos along the Bering Sea for almost a year. And basically what I do is kind of family pictures, but family pictures that most people can't get. And I think I have kind of a unique access because I am a priest. People trust me and I'm living there with them. And it's just like making family pictures. I
Well,
thought.
Father, let me interrupt you
Yeah,
and let me pull up those images right now, because this was an important essay for me personally. So it takes me just I will pull these up.
am I going to be able to see them? Oh,
You'll
there
be
you
able
go.
to see them
Oh, good.
as soon as I figure out how to do it properly.
See that picture in the upper left, the kid with the walrus tusks?
Right.
That was mocked up to be the cover of National Geographic. Oh, that would have been so nice. They actually laid out 36 pages, and then it got cut. As things get rolling along.
Well, I know that was you had that mock up in your dark room in your basement.
Oh,
Um,
really? Oh, that's right.
do you remember that?
Sure, I think I do.
I'm sorry. I'm having a little. I'm trying to get. There we go. Okay. So this was the mock-up of the cover of National Geographic, and there are a couple important personal things for me as a young photographer. I was like maybe 20 at the time. One, you were right there in Omaha. You were at Creighton, and I was able to audit one of your classes, and this was kind of right before this essay came out. And it was so important to me personally to be able to talk to somebody who was doing that level of work. And the other interesting thing was National Geographic was a color magazine, and you shot this in black and white.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I knew that they were looking for a black and white story eventually. Now, how did I know that? After I was at the University of Missouri, I don't know if who told me that. So I had sent that series in to Bob Gilka. Oh, Gilka, he was so wonderful, wonderfully crusty. Oh, he says, you got too many pictures of people just sitting there looking at the camera, which was true. So anyway, so when at that meeting, so Garrett says to me, "Send me a letter. I'll send you He sent me a contract. It wasn't very good, and so I happened to be in Washington. He doubled it then, and he said, "Well," I said, "Should it be color or black and white?" And he said, "Well, it can be both, you know." So I knew black and white, so I stayed with black and white. I did shoot some color. I didn't have. Maybe I did have this in color. I'm not sure. I don't think so. So I did mostly black and white, and anyway, and
well, it's interesting to me.
What's that?
Sorry. Well, it's interesting that you talk about the University of Missouri and Gilka and all this, because this is, when we look through this essay, you'll see that this is in the tradition of the great photo essays that was kind of, started at Life magazine, but was really spread out in the photojournalism world through the University of Missouri. This is like a complete traditional photo essay as we go through here.
Yeah, I think you could say the day in the life of type thing. Those early years at Creighton were very important to me because I kept studying photography and looking at the great photographers, what they did. These kids are going to school. I mean, it was so cold up there. And they started school about 11 o'clock. They had about 4 hours of light at this time, So anyway, even the dog's ear is twisted over, in the wind. So that's the main street in this little town of Tuksuk Bay. It's on the island of, oh my gosh, it's on the island just north of Nunavik. No, well, it's not actually an island. It's more like a peninsula. So it was pretty cold.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always tell people that empathy is
what's that? Okay, go ahead.
Empathy is our biggest it's our biggest skill as photographers, as photojournalists working in this tradition. That if you don't have empathy, it doesn't matter what kind of access you have, what kind of camera gear you have, you're not going to make any lasting images. And I think that's what comes through your images here.
Thank you.
Empathy. And of course in Pine Ridge and Rosebud, it's there. You can't not have that if you're going to be there.
Well, the people knew I cared about them and loved them, and I love this picture. I love the girl. I love the woman's face. It happens in about an inch. Their faces are so flat, and this. What I love about this picture too is, I can't tell you how family life is so important to Native people. That your family is everything, and they love the kids and take care of them. And so I just like this. I like this picture. And I love the light on it too. The light coming from the window, of course, lighting up her so nicely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun picture, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Every time I look at it, I smile. And this, I did an analysis of my pictures up there. And I always loved the 21 millimeter lens on a Leica. This is 21 millimeters. And this is the storekeeper who had the only, he had a VCR. He had many, 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 many movies. He was the best fisherman in town. He'd get these big salmon, 36-pound king salmon. Oh, and then he'd give them to me. He'd say, "Father, you want to go over to breakfast after Mass?" Of course, I always did. He really knew how to cook king salmon. It was so good. Anyway. They're watching actually Snow White. Can you believe that? All these people are watching a movie. Oh, it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah. I mean, it's just to go into the technical, there was something special about that 21 with the Leica. that it wasn't like a 20 on a Nikon or a Canon. It was, I don't know if that extra 1 millimeter made that big of a difference, but it was something special about that combination.
20 gave me too much distortion. 21 didn't. As long as you kept stuff mostly inside about an inch all the way around the viewfinder, it wouldn't distort hardly at all, you know. So, yeah.
No, it was a
I
beautiful.
think about 60% of my pictures with the 21.
Because, no, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a game of millimeters. I mean, it's just like 1 millimeter difference is that it changes the whole look of the image. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Maggie with her daughter. That was John. What was his last name? Larry John was his name. That was Maggie John.
I love how these images have just gotten better over time.
And I'm kind of imitating myself because I did Noah and Emily Kilsonside, and she made the parkas for both of them out of these mountain squirrels. It's not native to the area, but she had gotten them. I thought, isn't that wonderful? He was a deacon in the church. They had a deacon program up there that the Jesuits ran. And so, and when I'd preach, they'd always have to translate for me. So I'd have to say a few words, and then they translate it into a UPIC.
Sure. What was the population of the town?
People, a great sense of humor.
Right.
Pardon?
What was the population? I don't remember.
Of this town?
Yeah, it was like 300 people or so.
Oh, I don't think it was that many. Probably 225.
Right.
But they had moved their town from another site 10 years earlier.
Right. Yeah. I remember that.
And they had running water there. Of course, the water had to keep running so it wouldn't freeze.
it continuously ran.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, I used to sleep upstairs in the attic, and I didn't care. Oh, I love this picture. Isn't that great? Oh. It's the dog chasing the family station wagon. You know, they're going off on a trip, 45 miles. They're going to a religious rally in another town. I'm forgetting the name of the town, and I don't know how they find anything there. I mean, they see the subtlest changes, and even their like the stuff they carve out of ivory. It's so subtle. So how do you travel? So actually, he's pulling this sled. The woman and the kids sit in the back as he pulls with the snowmobile. He actually burned up his engine about another 100 yards out there. It wouldn't pull. So, oh my God!
It reminds me of navigating on the ocean. How they cross the snow.
Yeah. Wow. Another one I love, you'll see it in my next story. This one, I love this picture. I didn't want to take my Leicas out there, so I had an old Icon FM2 with a 24. I didn't want to get any salt water on my Leica camera.
Oh, right.
So
I think you had some issues with the Leicas because they were so well made that they freeze up sooner than the FM2 because the FM was kind of a looser build.
Yeah, I don't know I don't think my Leicas are. I would always keep the Leica inside the camera, inside your coat.
Yeah. But the
That's
FMs, right. the FMs worked well because they weren't as well crafted. So as they got colder, they didn't bind up or something. I'm trying to remember.
I don't think Leica's ever bound up. Well, because they were always warm.
Right.
So, but I would hang the cameras when I went to someone's house. If you took the camera inside, it would steam up.
Right.
So I would hang my cameras on a nail outside on the wall outside before you entered into a house. Their houses were so warm. And oh my, I love this picture because I like the composition of it, you know, where you have three and one person in the middle kind of, I've always liked this composition.
I love the composition. I love the moment. I love the angles coming in. You have those three boats. You have the three groups of people.
I do too.
Yeah. This was the opener
in the
magazine.
Taught photography, yes, it was. It was the opening lead in a shot. I don't know how I'm trying to teach composition. How do you teach composition? And I used to tell my students, people are now just shapes. You have to, it's like placing flowers inside of, how the Japanese do that thing. and you have to look at the shapes, and when they feel right in the frame, and you scan across it, up and down, then scan all the way around. You do it just in a moment, and when you see everything is complete, I give up way too many pictures because the composition isn't perfect.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I don't.
the composition is built into our minds. It's how we're built, and that's, you know, the 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 curve, the golden ratio, all those things. It's how our mind works. You know, that's
Well,
how we understand visually things. That's how we can.
yes. Yeah. No, I love. I do like this picture. I knew I had it when I had.
Yeah.
When
How
you know how it
speed
is.
speed. That's dangerous to think you have it though, especially when you're shooting film.
Isn't it? Yeah, when you're using film. Well, it's even dangerous in digital. Yeah.
How many, you know, speaking of teaching composition, how many students did you have over the years, do you guesstimate?
Well, not that many. Well, because I only took 20 in a class, and I only taught 2 classes.
Right.
So not that many over the years. But some of them have done really well, and that's always a thrill. Uh, this is a funny picture. I came out and I had one of those little, what do you call those little pen cameras? Those
Oh, the Olympus Pen F. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it was. It just slid open, and I
Right.
had that. And I came out, and she's passing out glad bags to share the blubber because you always share the first seal, which is about almost it's 1,000 pounds of
Right. Right.
blubber. And
Yeah.
so, and I only women go to these things. So I came out of the mayor's house here, and there they were having this party right there. And she made some wise remark. I think she was saying, "Well, who is this? Is he really a man?" It was all in Yupik, which I don't understand. I'm absolutely sure she made fun of me and wondering whether I had the unit to be a man. I thought it was hilarious.
Did you
They have
did
a
you
great
ever?
humor. I never cleared it up with her. Is that what?
Right.
No, I never did.
What did you
For
also did
certain, I
you
knew that. What's that?
did
Oh
you
my!
ever develop a taste for blubber during your time there?
Actually, yes. They normally don't get whales, but a whale had swum into the bay, the Tuxuk Bay area, and they got a whale. And so I remember I went over to a person's house, and they said, "Oh, Father, would you like some whale? We got 3 kinds. We have raw, we have medium, and well done." And so I tried them all, and I'd have to say the raw was the best.
Really?
Yeah.
So you know, eating the local diet, did you develop some tolerance to the cold, or did that never kick in?
I don't know if I had a tolerance for the cold. It wasn't that. I mean, I had the warm clothes, and I dressed warmly. So no.
I mean, I've seen Eskimos walking around Anchorage, and it's 10 below, and they're wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, they'll do that at 10 above pretty easily. And then when it's they play basketball when it's 0 and
Right.
they're out in their t-shirts and they're sweating.
Right.
What? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing. My Oh, I like that. I like that picture. This one because I think I did it with the pen. I don't know what I did it with. I thought I had the Pen F camera here, but it's layered with information. They're kind of doing something. They don't call it patty cake, whatever they're doing, but we would call it patty cake
Right.
uh, with her little nephew or niece, whatever it is. But you have the parka, you have all the rifles and shotguns that they use for seal hunting and for goose hunting.
No, that's people that are very connected not only to each other but their environment where they live. It's
Yes.
all they're one with all that.
Have you worked up there in Alaska?
I made a quick trip. I went there for People magazine, and I was there for a few days, and that's my only trip to Alaska.
Wow. My. No, you had a great career. My God, I was so impressed with you and the way you I shouldn't say, stalked Ollie North. You know, my God, talk about tenacious. You are it. You know, my gosh.
Well, when you don't, I mean, you know how that is. You get
You
hungry, and you're gonna not give up. I mean, I always tell people, I'm from Nebraska, so you might outthink me, but you're not going to outwork me.
there you go. I like that. We do work hard, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do.
I'm a Milwaukee and Wisconsin boy, but a lot of Wisconsin boys in Alaska and Minnesota too.
Sure. I
Yeah.
love this image. I love this image. It's one. I mean, this is like, if I was gonna like swap a print, I love this.
Oh wow. Well, we can do that.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it beautiful? It's such a joyful moment on so many different levels, really.
Well, what they're doing, they're carrying geese to a family that does not have a hunter. And I love they're wearing a geese like it's a veil. What? The one on the left. Isn't that fun?
It's beautiful, and once again, it's about that community, but it's about connecting with that through the lens with the empathy that you carry with you. It all
Yeah.
translates. It all funnels through that piece of equipment that the camera that we can't live without.
I miss using the Leica. I have the new Leica. A benefactor gave me one of the digital Leicas, the 240, whatever
Right.
it is. I
The
use
one
it.
they just released a couple months ago.
No, 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 no,
The older
no,
one.
no. I don't have another 10 grand.
At least you have the lenses. You don't have to replace the lenses, just the body.
I know, but still, it's 6 grand. I think. Oh my God, and my and I didn't. I used it like a regular, it's brassed, so the
Right.
brass is showing through. I didn't, I didn't carry it like a precious object, which it was, but I said I'm not
No,
worry about it.
no, they're
This
meant to be used, and the more
this is a
brass, the
tool.
better. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I took it on my one of my trips in. It was just too hard to carry the SLR and then to carry all of the battery
The
charging.
peripherals.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah.
This is another tender moment, and once again, you found that light, and you worked it.
Oh, I love that kind of light. I call it Rembrandt light.
Yeah.
Now, his kid's got meningitis, that little kid.
Uh-huh.
And guess what? He was in charge of the local airline, the agent there for, I think it was Wien Air or something like that. He called them up and he had them send a twin engine airplane over to send him pick up his son here, Jack, and take him to the PHS hospital, public health hospital, in 100 miles away in Bethel, Alaska.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. So I was so impressed. I mean, in the old days, I would have never. I don't think I would have seen that among the Lakota at that time. Now I think it would happen that way.
Well, I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. It's rough. The Lakotas, they've gone I mean, I'm about 4 or 5 miles from the Crow Reservation right
Oh,
now, and
yeah.
it's
You go to the Crow Fair? I'll bet
oh
you do.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I'm exactly 16 miles from Chief Plentycoo's home.
Oh,
So you've probably been there. You've probably been through
no, I
there.
have. I don't know the Crows at all.
Oh, well, it's completely different. It's completely different. You know that. It's the Lakota have it really rough. I mean, they have it rougher than probably any other tribe that I can.
I think you're right.
It's a hard place. But so I love this image, and once again, we're talking about empathy, and we're talking about, like you said, Rembrandt light. I didn't know what Rembrandt light was until I audited your class. I didn't know how
Oh,
to
is that
look at.
right?
I didn't look. I
And I
didn't know
talked
how to
about
look at
it
images.
way back then.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't know. If you can imagine not being, when you did a slideshow with, Rembrandt portraits, and
Uh-huh.
then I think you had like Linda McCarthy, and so Irving Penn. You did the whole Irving
I
Penn
love
biker
Irving Penn.
series,
Yes, right. Yes. Oh my
and you
God.
dissected those images in such a way that you went into a certain every face in the the group portrait and said, now look at this and look at this. I didn't know how to even dive into an image before I had that explained to me, and that's something that I use to this day.
Wow. Well, let me just see who's calling me here.
Okay.
I'll call this guy back. He can leave a
Okay.
message.
Okay.
So
So this is more like a banya. It's not a sweat lodge, is it?
it is a sweat lodge.
Is it?
It's a big one down at Clark's Point. It's a communal one, and they have a sweat lodge. Almost every family in a village has a sweat lodge. It's about it's a little structure about let's see, how big would it be? It'd be as big as a queen size bed, and it's only about 3.5 feet high, and there's a 50-gallon drum on one side of it, and they start a fire in this 50-gallon drum, and they have a pot of water on the end of it, and over the top they have all these rocks, and oh my God, they get it so hot. You go in there, and families do it together now. I just did it with the men, and you get in there, you're totally naked. You get in there, and I always wore a wool hat because it burned. And a lot of those guys have white spots on their bodies because it was so hot. Uh, uh, so, and it's nothing like it here. Okay, it's 10 and it's 20 below outside, right? And you go in this little hut, and your body gets so hot, and you're allowed to leave at any time if it's too hot for you, and go out into this little area, which is only about 3.5 feet by 4 feet high and 4 feet wide, and put your clothes back on and go back home if you want. It was so exhilarating. And they used to have bigger ones for the whole family. And you were considered a man when you were invited into the sweat lodge ceremony. And that's where they discussed things.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've never done a sweat lodge, you don't realize how hot and how,
oh,
I mean, it heats up your very bones.
yes.
And it lasts. It sticks to you. I mean, you
I
walk
know.
outside. I've only done one, and like you said, you have to be invited to them, and it is very special.
I did many as a prayer service with the Sioux, with the Lakota, but they couldn't believe they pray in the sweat lodge, the Lakota playing, because here it's a social thing. It's not really a prayer.
Right.
Yeah.
The Crow do the same thing, but so that and I did this. We had a medicine man there, and the first three prayers you get a break. The flap. This is more of a tent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the flap opens. I'm sure it's the same in Lakota between the set of prayers. And
That's
after
right.
after the third set of prayers, it gets serious. And they usually, people like me, they say you should probably leave now. Is what happens, because each set of prayers you add so many cups of water, and it gets hotter after each set of prayers. It's an experience.
Oh yeah. Well, the Lakota open the door only 4 times, and there's prayers between each one, and you pass the pipe on the last one, and you share the pipe, and you make a prayer after that. But you stay for the whole thing with the Lakota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Crow gave me a break, I guess, and there was a river right outside, and it was about 10 below. It was cold, and I was so hot. I thought I could probably go in the river and be okay. But
yeah.
I didn't know if I could get out of the river. I could get in, but I didn't know if I could get out.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my.
There's our Rembrandt light right there.
Oh yeah. Madeline Sonny was her name. Look at that. I love that light. Yeah.
She's so engaged. It's a true portrait. It's a portrait is a cooperation between the photographer and the subject, and I love that.
Oh my.
That's another one.
Oh, this is the guy I went fishing with. Oh, I think he's not doing very well. Did he? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, what's his name?
It was a long time ago.
I know, but I knew him so well. Wait a minute, Ed. It'll come up in a minute. Oh, oh
Now,
my.
just so, Father, you did
Ever
your
good friend.
own.
I went hunting. When I found out the men, when I got to the village, the men were gone. I said, "Where the men?" Oh, they're down at Clark's Point, about 500 miles south. So I called the Geographic. I said, "Hey, can I go down there?" They're fishing. Well, these guys, he had a boat that held 30 tons of fish.
Wow.
And these guys, about 30 years or no, now it's probably 50, 60 years ago, some kind of BLM said, these guys are natural fishermen. Why don't we help them get licenses so they can commercially fish? So he went down there on his boat, and there's about nine people from this village, each with their own boat worth $250,000, as was their license back then in the 80s. So I went down there and I went out on the boat with them. Oh my God. I've never been out at sea. Uh, oh my God. We go on this boat and I didn't have any food with me. And so, oh my God, I saw these oil stained things and, oh, are you hungry? Sure. Well, they bring out a box of herring, dried herring. They take a little pie tin, pour some seal oil out of a Skippy peanut butter jar into the pie tin. And I said, oh my God, there's blue mold over these things. What about the blue mold? Oh, they ate it. Well, I guess I can eat it too. So
Yeah.
they're eating blue mold herring, you know. And then they invited me down there. There's a bunks for 4 people, but they smoke like mad. I could not go below deck in the front of the boat. It smelled of diesel and then cigarette smoke. So I slept on top as this thing rocked. We were out at sea for 3 days. And they all talked in Yupik to say where the fish were, because they didn't want any of the white guys to know where they were going, you know. So, oh my God. So they put out 100 yards of fishing line or net about 6 feet deep. And when the fish are flowing, oh my God, is that something? And they have this electronic wheel that they can pull in that 100 yards, and they're pulling fish out like mad. And then when they get a full tender, they go over to a Japanese fishing, whatever, a big ship, and they unload and get paid right away, I guess, or whatever. Anyway, it was quite interesting. And I
What an
remember,
experience.
no, it was wonderful. And I remember coming back to land after 3 days. I got on the pier and I could barely stand up because it's like the pier is moving. What's
Right.
that about? You've probably done that. Oh my God. So it was good. It was a great experience. Oh, Nick Churchick was his name. It's Nick. And
Nick
his wife. Yeah, Nick Turchick.
Turchick.
And he was a great fisherman. I love this picture. This young man who's pulling the house wanted to move out of the home with the in-laws and have a house for himself. So he went home. He put a house on 55-gallon drums and towed it back to the village, only about 6 miles. But they moved it to better site for better fishing and better hunting. So, and this is a funny image. I mean,
It
there
is
he is
so
out of
good.
nowhere, pulling a house.
It's
So,
so good.
yeah, isn't that fun? That
It
was
is so
again the
good.
21. So,
I want to just go through. Here's the original layout in National Geographic. So that's the opener right there. It's beautiful
right.
opener. You can see how it made a double truck, and
Yes.
got the National Geographic
They
maps.
cut when they asked my permission to cut it off. They
Oh,
cut the
did
guy
they?
off on the right side.
Yeah,
So that was nice.
yeah, that's an important consideration that magazines,
Yeah.
if they were going to crop your images, if they were going to do anything like that, oftentimes back in the day they would get your permission before they did that. That's a great spread there. Those two images really work well together. And this is lovely.
Oh, thanks. Do I have the whole spread on the website? I think I do, don't I? It's a PDF there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That looks
Yeah.
good.
They cut one guy out. There they are.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Lovely.
they had computers in the school. They had so much money up there in Alaska after the Alaska Native Claims Act,
Right, right. So
So,
that's our original layout.
yeah.
So I just wanted to go through that, Father.
Well, thank you. It's fun to look it over. Yeah. Oh my.
So,
What?
by the way, did you do your own prints for the geographic? Did they reproduce from your own prints?
I'm trying to remember. I think so.
I bet you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
In those days, I did my own prints. Oh, I did a whole thing. I did that. I did all 5 books of the Ansel Adams thing, where you the negative. Was I doing the zone system at that time when you guys were in it?
Yeah, I learned the zone system from you, and I still use it to this day. People don't realize that digital photography, if you go back to Ansel Adams, the negative, you basically have learned everything you need to know.
Exactly. I teach. I did a couple classes last year for the schools, and I'm teaching them how to use the thing and how to measure. You take your instant light meter reading of your subject, point it to the flash. That is your exposure. Now take a reflected light off the background. What shade of gray do you want it? Do it in zones. Think zones now. And they don't know how to think in zones. It's 2 stops. It's reading now. Let's say this is F8. This is reading 5-6 up back there. What shade of gray is it going to be? Oh, they go nuts,
No, you really you tortured us, because one of your class assignments was to take a white background, shoot a portrait with somebody, and have like 10 zones, all go through all 8 zones from light gray to almost black on the background, but just by controlling your light.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to do that now.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you can handle 10 zones, go into 255 zones that we have now, it's not that big of a leap, really.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I sure
Hey, you're
appreciate it
welcome.
today.
Well, it's glad I had to. Really. Thanks. No, you really had a hell of a career. My. So, and you got horses?
We got horses. I photographed the horses today. I guess I'll have to put one of those up on Instagram this afternoon. So
I don't do Instagram enough. The woman who works for me is just on my case. I'll do Instagram. Uh, I don't like putting up a picture if it's not perfect. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what's you got another book project in the works besides getting your archive secured? What else do you have going on?
well, in 2012, I came out with a book. It's 50 years of my photography.
No, I didn't know that. I'll have to find it. I'll link to it at the bottom of this episode.
It's on my website.
Okay.
It's how to order it on my website.
Right.
We're not selling it that many of them anymore. I have. It's printed beautifully. Oh my God. I didn't want to go through working with any publisher anymore. So I decided to publish it myself. And I reactivated Creighton University Press. That's the only way you can take a self-published book and get an, what do you call that? ISBN number. Yeah.
ISBN, right.
So I got an ISBN number because we used to have a press here. And then, Don Winslow, don't you?
Sure.
Don Winslow edited my stuff for A Day in the Life of California.
Uh-huh.
And so I called him. I said, Don, I'm thinking of doing a book. And we had gotten together over the years, different places. I actually baptized his daughter on Day in the Life of California.
I think she's going to Creighton now, isn't she? Or
she
already graduated?
She graduated, yeah. So anyway, she's here in town. Don, his immune system, his issues. His immune system is totally gone. He has no immune system after this last thing. So I called him and I said, hey, Don, why don't you come to when you come? So in a week, we went over 50 years of photographs. And he picked this, picked that, picked it. I didn't understand some of his choices. So he loves teaching photography. He taught it in Rome. He loves Rome. And he said, come to Rome. I'm going to go to Rome. I said, I don't want to go to Rome. I've been there many times. I've been there actually 9 times. I said, I can stay there relatively cheap, but we go out to dinner. It's 100 euros. Holy mac. I said, no. I said, okay. He said, on Monday, I'm going to Rome. I said, okay, I'm coming down. I went down on Wednesday. we laid out 128 pages in my Sunday, So, wow. Oh my God. And at first it was really tough. I'm a procrastinator. I want to think about it. Oh yeah. Well, he goes chunk, 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 because he had been doing the NPPPA magazine for 8 years, 64 right. pages of pictures, and writing this stuff and laying it out. And oh my God, it was good. So then I came back to Omaha, and I said, oh my God, this isn't in there. Oh my God, this is not in there. Oh my God. So I would add a signature at a time using his principles of layout. And then I didn't like his typography. I love type. So, in fact, I took a type class at Marquette University in typography, and I actually took the class at UNO where you hand set your type in the California. I love type and good typography. So I said, hey, do you mind if I asked the guy at Mutual of Omaha? We've done all these calendars together. We just won the best calendar in America again for the St. Augustine calendar I did. I just heard it 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
yeah. Awesome. Oh my God, isn't that something? Well, anyway, his typography is exquisite. So he took the typography and he transformed the book. And then I had a benefactor who helped me with some things. I said, hey, Mark, I have a chance to do a Chevy or a Lexus. He said, do the Lexus. And so I had a printer in Minneapolis who did the St. John's Bible editions. Oh my God, are they good? I rejected 50 pictures online. While it was running.
On press, too magenta, too blue. They fixed every one of them, put it on 100-pound paper, had the paper coated with this aqueous solution so they'll never turn yellow. And this 218-page book is 2 kilos. I mean, it's 4 pounds. That's amazing. For anybody who's never been on press, I mean, that is an art form, obviously in itself. But yes. To be on press as a photographer, it's transformation to see that.
Yeah, it
mechanical process.
Well, they had the latest German press. What is that big press that's so famous?
Lindenberg or Lindenheimer or whatever.
Yeah, 8-color press. Yeah. 8-color press, printing black and white and getting it
printed black and white in 8 colors.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so I know that's my Easter present to myself.
I'll send you one. Oh my, such a deal. Well, do you have a book out lately?
I've been writing and just cranking them out on Apple Books, so I don't go through my last book. You can see it up there. There's like 4 or 5 copies. I did a year of Nebraska football.
Yeah, I think I saw that someplace. Yeah.
And people don't realize doing a book takes a lot out of you.
Oh, really?
But I'm so excited to see your book. I probably knew that you did that, and then I forgot about it. So,
by the way, we just took that first book I did, Men, Women, and Sacred Sites of the Sioux Nation, on which I won an award for the interactive CD-ROM in 1998.
I remember that.
Remember that?
I remember that.
And we just finished an iBook. So it's online, an iBook in Apple's iBook. And it's pretty, we put a lot of new information in it. I really need to get in and market that thing. So that's where I really have dropped the ball. I don't like marketing and all that sort of stuff that you have to get it out there. But I was out at the Apple store. He says, you got an iBook? The guy goes on, hey, this is really cool. He downloaded and bought a copy right there as I was having something fixed out at the iStore. But it's pretty, you'll see it right away.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, I'm the same way. I love doing it. I just want to do it. I want to put it out there.
Yes.
And marketing is a mystery to me.
Me too. It just said my internet thing is unstable. What does that mean?
That means that we're probably over our time. So
yeah,
it's probably a good time to wrap this up.
It's 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, whatever we're at. I think it's 40. Well, we're over that, but.
What is it? Oh yeah, it's 2:15.
Yeah. So thank you, Father.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great to touch base with you, and God bless and stay
Yeah,
healthy.
you and your family too. I'm going to come up there and ride some horses sometime. I love riding,
I've got some young ones that could use your help.
I broke 5 horses. I grew up in the city. You know that story, don't you?
Yeah,
I learned
that's
how to ride and break horses. I should
you
send you. What's that?
to ride a horse on the reservation is to break a horse on the reservation.
After 2 years, I rode in the professional rodeo they had in Rosebud, bareback
Oh,
bronc. I made it out to the stands where my students were. They loved it.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
You've always been so physically fit and a great athlete. So that's your testament right there.
I know. Hey, thanks. So
Okay.
good chatting with you. All right.
Talk to you soon, Father.
Okay, take care.